Now, you have to understand this. When we talk about former rain and latter rain, one of the things that gives you access into grace is not dishonoring former rain. Dishonoring former rain is something that people love to do. So if you look at any one of the fathers on here, people love to dishonor their frailties. The thing about every man on here, they all have frailties and weaknesses. They're not wicked. There's a big difference. There's a big difference between being frail. There's a big difference between frail, weak, and making mistakes, even falling, versus being wicked. Two different things. And the rain that God poured out upon them, if you dishonor them based upon their shortcomings and their falling, you don't get access to that rain. And even if you dishonor how they did it, because remember, times have evolved. So the tent meeting ain't the tent meeting no more. Now it's on social media.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if you try to do what was done, you may not find good success because the times have evolved. That's why God said, go into the highways, byways, preach. But if you and I stand on the corner, we're probably not going to find that much success.
Yes.
Right? We could stand on the corner of a highway if we want to, but the trucks are driving by too fast to hear anything that we would say.
Yes.
Right word, wrong application. But if I dishonor what they did because it doesn't apply today, I lose out on the spiritual grace to allow me to be successful.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
All right. So we don't dishonor the way our fathers did things, even as God continues to advance us, to lift us and increase us.
Yes.
All right. Now go ahead. Let's read Joe.
For he has given you the former rain faithfully, and he will cause the rain to come down for you.
So he's giving you former rain faithfully, and he's the one who causes it to come down. All right, go ahead.
The former rain and the latter rain in the first month. The threshing floor shall be full wheat, and the vats shall overflow with new wine and oil.
Mm-hmm.
So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the consuming locust, and the chewing locust, my great army which I sent among you, and you shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you. And my people shall never be put to shame. Then you shall know that I am in the midst of Israel. I am the Lord your God, and there is no other. My people shall never be put to shame. And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh.
Okay. So he's talking about rain. Talk about former rain. Then he goes on to talk about latter rain. And then he equates former and latter rain to what it has the ability to produce.
Yes.
And after he talks about that rain, now he's going to go into what that all works towards. Go ahead.
And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit on all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy.
Remember I told you water is directly connected to the prophetic.
Yes.
He says that I will pour out the former rain and the latter rain. It shall have this effect. And then I will pour out my spirit upon your sons and your daughters, and they shall begin to prophesy. So the river of God that he looses upon his people, the water that he pours out upon his people, is directly connected to the prophetic.
Amen.
It's directly connected to the prophetic. The first thing he talks about is former rain, latter rain, and then he equates it to the spirit being poured out. And the first thing after the spirit being poured out is prophecy.
Wow.
That's what happened when the spirit gets poured out on the day of Pentecost. Everybody thinks they're praying in tongues. They're prophesying.
Yeah.
That's why it says, and every man heard him in his own voice.
Yes.
Remember, if there's an interpretation, it's the same as prophecy. This is what is happening. So when water gets poured out, when the spirit gets poured out, the first thing that should begin to flow is prophecy.